Hey, good evening, everyone. I just want to thank you all for joining us for a conversation tonight. And I'm here again with Miguel and Jimmy. Unfortunately, Napoleon had some other commitments he had to be at tonight, but he's with us in spirit. And he may jump on and give comments here and there if he's available to do that. Hey, I just want to say thank you guys for watching our video. I just looked a little bit ago. We had over 1,200 views on that. That's pretty cool.
Is that on YouTube?
Yeah, on YouTube.
Yeah. And Facebook, it's been going around like crazy because I've been getting a lot of comments.
Oh, okay. So it's going crazy. So I like that. I mean, that's cool. You can hold the mics up because otherwise they can't hear you. So if you're saying, because you can interact.
We're kind of nervous. I've
No,
never
that-
You
seen
can't
my-
hear us.
No, you have to have the microphone up
Can
though.
you hear us?
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, come on. These guys they're trying to defy what the rules are here.
The microphone actually makes it a little scary.
Does it?
Yeah.
Okay. So, anyway, thanks again for joining us. And tonight, obviously, we have some questions that are serious and a lot of things that are going on, and some questions that were sent in to piggyback off of the message on Sunday that you guys saw, or whatever day you watched it. And also, we just like to have fun too. So if that happens, it happens. I don't know if any of you noticed, I shaved my beard. We'll get that out of the way first. Come on.
I won the bet.
So, was there a bet?
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Hey, can you pay $5 now or later?
That-
Pay later.
That's why you were booing, because you're losing money.
Hey, yeah. Jane, you gonna give me $5 too? Actually, the money goes to her.
The money goes to me,
Yes.
Does it? Okay.
because I had to lose the beer too.
Well, were you? 'Cause she was trying to convince me to keep it as well, and then I convinced her today by telling her a reason why I wanted to get rid of it. And well, okay, I'll tell her.
What's the reason you
Okay.
want to get rid of it?
So I told her when I kiss her, it gets in the way. It like pokes at me, and I don't like that. And I said I like kisses without whiskers. So she said, "Oh, in that case, then
I said, get that sucker off.
get that."
Well, then why don't you just shave the top part?
You just have the bottom?
You-
Have the bottom.
That would've looked good on you.
That's crazy. Anyway, I'm sure that there are those styles, and they're fine for people. Anyway,
So, like, if
I'm ready.
anyone was wondering, Steve does not compromise. Go ahead.
Anyway, so I'm going to go through these, and then also, if you guys want to send questions, you're more than welcome to do that while you're on there. I think we can read them maybe. If not, Jane's over here telling us, can pick up on them. See, those are posted there on the left side of the screen. That's awesome. So any of us, while somebody's talking, we can take a look if there's a
You
question.
can actually put it on your iPad as well
Well, I can't do both.
and just go back and forth.
I guess I could, but guess what? I don't multitask.
You should teach him how to multi-screen the iPad.
We're going to work on that.
You know, on your
for the next
iPad,
one.
you can put two
I-
things
I
at the
know.
same time?
But right now, I don't want to learn that because we're taking people's precious time. So here's first question. What kind of results do you expect to see if law enforcement is defunded, either negative or positive, locally or abroad or anywhere, I guess?
So, I mean, we can take this question all around, right? So, defunding, do I think defunding is a good idea? Well, that depends. If money is taken away from law enforcement budgets and it's reallocated towards resources that prevent us from being involved in situations we probably shouldn't be involved in the first place, like, for instance, mental health issues. We go to a lot of mental health calls that we're really not trained and equipped to really handle. You know, I mean, we do what we can do, but there's experts in that field that should be going to those. So if funds can be reallocated from us to go to that, I'm all for it. It's only going to make us be better. It's only going to make the community better. It's going to give those people who actually need those resources, it's going to give them the opportunity to get the help that they need. Because putting those people in jail is not the answer. And just moving them from point A to point B, that's not the answer either. There needs to be a solution where real help is getting to these people that need it.
Yeah, hang on a second. So I agree with you. I guess my question, and maybe this is somebody's question, would be, then where do they cut in the police department? Because you don't want to lose things that are important to you. That's a high up decision to make as far as what you would.
Oh, that's well above our pay grade.
Yeah.
And defunding, that's such a wide spectrum, because nobody knows exactly what they're saying. They're just saying defund the police.
Right.
And like Miguel said, if they're just moving, allocating money to somewhere else, like mental health, things that we're having to deal with, that we do de-escalation. We do training every year about mental health and things of that sort, but not enough for an expert, I guess you can say. And we've been handling, I mean, recently in the last 5 years, half of the call load are helping mental health people on the streets and things of that sort. So if they're going to take money from the police departments to put that somewhere else to social workers or a team or a task force, and that's what they handle, I'm all for it. I think it'll actually help us out, and it'll allow us to actually do our jobs and actually go help people that need some the other type of help, like crimes and things of that sort.
Sure. And I think, because that is a broad, because when you say defund, because that could mean a lot of things, like you said. I'm also seeing just people out there who are just trying to abolish the police department. You guys aren't, I don't assume you're for that, obviously.
No, I mean, not at all. I mean, anytime there's situations where emotions are high, you're going to get the far this way, you're going to get the far that way. And at some point, we got to meet in the middle. But defunding the police to the point where there's no department, well, obviously that's not going to work.
Yeah,
Communities
no.
need the police.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, that's right.
The thing too is and we've talked about it off air, saying we're lucky on where we work. The city we work in is 100% supportive of us. The nice thing is most people are from this community and they know us. They know us from, I mean, we've grown up in this area. And so it's been really nice that we've had a lot of people backing us on this also.
Yeah, no, that's great. There's another question here that says, do you think law enforcement needs to be reformed? If so, how?
Reformed, here's how I look at law enforcement. I think law enforcement should be treated like a business. If you have a product, obviously you want to sell that product. If the community says, we want to buy this type of product, well, then you need to tailor your inventory towards that type of product. If the times change and now there's a new fad or there's a new style and then the community wants that new fad or new style, we got to give that to them. So we should be constantly evaluating what the community needs in order for us to stay current with those needs so we can meet those.
No, that's good. Jim, you have anything on that?
Took everything I wanted to say. Everything I wanted to say
There you
right
go.
there.
There you have it.
You
Next.
got BFFs right there.
Well, you can tell we were partners for a long time, right?
Yeah, and good ones at that. Well, you're still partners, just offices aren't right next to each other, so
No.
now you have to work more.
Yeah.
So another one, what actions would you take if you saw a fellow law enforcement officer using excessive force?
Everybody in my department would stop it. Everybody. We actually train to de-escalate. De-escalate for ourselves and the person that we're dealing with also. We actually train that way. All of us, I believe everybody here in Lacey, I mean, we love what we do. We enjoy what we do. And there are times where adrenaline's high, things are getting busy, and we take the initiative to help each other out, which is really nice. And I don't have an exact example, but I can just say, I go to a scene, say Miguel's at, and he was in something very physical, and I'm just going to make something up. He was in a physical fight or something like that. His emotions can be going big time, right? We automatically will come and take him out and say, all right, you step back, go collect yourself, get yourself back into business mode. And that's something that we train and something that we do on a daily basis all the time. And then we will step him away, then a fresh new eyes will come who have nothing to do with what was going on there, and will come in and proceed and kind of and help the situation at that point.
And
That's good.
He's 100% correct. And a lot of times, there's people that we come in contact with that necessarily don't like that particular officer, but for some reason, they love that officer. And so we'll
Sure.
do a lot of switching back
Yep.
and forth all the time. I mean, you've seen it when
Yeah,
you were
good,
reserve.
good cop, bad cop.
Yeah.
I mean, we have an example. You and I were at an apartment complex one time, and same thing. Person didn't want to talk to me at all. And then Miguel came in and saw this beautiful man
Well,
and
what-
said,
what could you- is there to
know,
not like,
I know,
right?
I know. And this guy was able to talk him down, and everybody else backed out, and we just did our thing, and things were peaceful. And that's one thing that I'm proud where we work is we try our hardest to talk our way out of things. We try our hardest to de-escalate as much as we can. We don't want to
Right.
go hands-on with people.
No.
We don't, that's not what it's about for us. And these people that we're dealing with are in our community. They're people that we see. I'll go to Safeway and see people. So I've had many people that I've arrested who've contacted me in Safeway or whatever and said, hey, thank you. I appreciate, I didn't like I went to jail, but I appreciate you treating me that way with respect and dignity and things of that sort. And those are things that we're proud of and things that we try to exercise and go about our way every time we contact somebody.
No, it's awesome. Those are good answers for that. Officer Stansberry, not Tackleberry.
No, I'm glad I didn't get called out.
Well,
Here we go.
so you mentioned in our conversation the difficulty of being a black man and a police officer and having criticism from all sides, basically, including, I think, in family. How can a local police department best demonstrate support and backing for black officers or other minority officers?
Well, they actually recently allowed us to go to counseling for any of us, many of the officers.
Right,
If any
right.
of the officers feel like they need to talk to someone, you and your family can actually go, which is awesome, that they gave us that outlet and that support.
Yeah, I saw that's awesome.
And I'm sure a lot of agencies out there don't have that, so I'm grateful that my department actually absolutely stepped up and did that for us.
Yeah,
All the way down from yourself to your spouse and your children, which is nice.
That's
And
a
it's-
great
and it's
addition.
absolutely free.
absolutely
And it's a
great.
good outlet because most guys, especially in law enforcement, we keep everything inside.
Oh,
Everything's
yeah.
fine. And
Yeah.
especially
He's
Miguel.
speaking for himself because I let it out.
You tell people.
I have
Okay,
no problem crying on his shoulder.
he's the crier in the family here.
Yeah. Well, Jimmy, you're the one that always says, I think I need to talk to the chaplain, but then you never do, so.
I
And
know.
Miguel's always talking
He
to the chaplain.
he keeps it inside.
That's
See?
my way of saying I'm going to pray.
You just take out your party boat and go out
Yes.
and enjoy
Yes.
the sound.
All by myself.
Yeah, that's awesome. So here's one, and I had this was one that Miguel you had asked me about, and I didn't know 100% on this, but I'll throw it out there, and you can take a shot at it. It seems that Black Lives Matter focus is on police brutality. In addition to that, what can be done to include all black lives? For an example, the black retired police officer that was killed protecting a local business from looters. I guess, so it was, I think it was basically, all the focus seems to be on the George Floyd thing, but this guy, great black guy too, was beaten up or killed or whatever, and so maybe people aren't seeing that, hey, he's a black man and his life matters too, I'm guessing.
Sure. I mean, anytime you have a situation where you have, like I said, high emotions, you've got people rioting, you've got people protesting, you've got people looting. You can't control all of it. You know, we just need to focus on the people who are there for the right reasons. Whatever happened in that situation happened, but let's focus on the reason why everyone's there.
Yeah.
Let's not fall into that trap of, well, what, that guy got killed. Okay, great. Let's focus on why we're there. Let's stick to the topic of why we're there. That's what I would say to that.
Sure.
Because,
So-
yeah, of course, all lives matter in that sense. But
Well, it says all black lives. Obviously, we know all
I'm
lives
sure
matter.
the people that were there protesting for the right reasons also agree that guy's life matters. But
Sure.
those people, I'm sure, don't condone what looters and riots do.
Right. No, that
Right, and
makes
I
sense.
think what Miguel is saying is there's a reason why the protesting started. And then we have these other people piggybacking and jumping on top of the main cause, and they're the ones that are causing the havoc
Right.
everywhere else around the world.
It's
Right.
a complete deflection.
Right.
Oh, so yeah, okay, sure. I see the Black Lives Matter people, but why aren't they talking about that guy? Why are you even worried about that? Because they're focused on the reason why we're all in this right now. That's what we need to be focused on. All that other stuff is just, yeah, it's very unfortunate he lost his life and all that stuff. But let's stick to the topic of why we're there. All the side things. And well, I saw black people breaking windows in a Nordstrom's taking things. Okay, great. Let's talk about why we're there.
Yeah. Well, and there
And
was
I think
there
it's-
was white people doing the same thing.
But I think it's
100%.
horrible that I think he was a sheriff or he was a chief or something,
It's like-
the guy you're talking about, David, is that right?
Yeah, something.
Anyways, it's horrible. I think
Yeah.
it's horrible. And and it's like we don't have control on what is pushed out. The media is
The
pushing
me-
out.
I think
things of
a
that sort
lot's driven
either.
by the media, for
And
sure.
Let me address that. Everyone always wants to blame the media
know.
about everything. The media's pushing this. The media's telling you this. We're all adults here. You don't have. If you told me right now, hey, by the way, do you see that blue sky? It's really green. I'm gonna look at you like you're crazy because I can look and I can figure it out for myself. Everyone here is an adult. Everyone here is watching as an adult. You can make your own decisions without the media or influence from anybody else. You can read more than just headlines. You can Google things. You can do whatever you need to do to form your opinion. Stop blaming the media. Stop blaming everyone else. It's your responsibility to form your opinions. It's your responsibility to figure out what your moral compass is. And it's your responsibility to do something or not do something in relation to what's going on right now. That's it. Everything else is just white noise.
yeah, and that's something I said last time we talked. Is what I used to do 3-4 years ago is read the headlines, or just hear somebody talking in the hallway or something, and I would formulate my opinion by that one little
Yeah. and I-
interaction.
Yeah.
And now
I think a lot of people still do that, unfortunately.
Yeah,
What
and-
you're saying is right,
Yes.
but a lot of people are influenced by whatever
Right.
because they don't want to take the time or
Right.
they're to research something.
And to be honest with you, they're part of the problem.
Yeah.
They're part of the problem. They're part of the distraction of why we keep getting off this topic. We have never seen this before where, like I said last time, we have a pandemic. We have all eyes on this, and we really get one shot to get this right and really get this ball rolling into the direction it needs to be going. But when people are talking about all this stuff that's not directed towards getting that ball going or moving the needle like we talked about, move on. Move on. We don't even need to discuss that.
Sure.
Stop blaming the media. It's your responsibility. It just drives me crazy.
How do you feel about
I
that?
couldn't tell.
It drives me crazy when people bring up the media. I don't need the
I
media.
brought it up.
I don't even watch the news that much. I don't need someone to tell me how to think or what to think about. I can figure that out for myself. And then I'm going to have an opinion and be so opinionated on Facebook or the internet about this opinion that I got from the media. That makes no sense. Be
Right.
an adult.
Right. No. And that's why I don't put stuff out there because, again, a lot of things are opinions. There's always truth to everything, but guess what? 99% of the people don't have access to the absolute truth of whatever that might
And
be.
people would rather get their opinion from the internet than come and ask me or come and ask someone of color. It's easier to get your information that way than actually sitting down and have this conversation. Because if you look at all the news and you look at all these people talking about, oh, we need to have these tough conversations. These tough conversations need to be had. That's the theme right now. Who's actually having these conversations? Have you seen anyone recently besides us
Besides
having
us?
this conversation?
Not really.
Not really.
Other than
but that's
peop-
what everyone talks about. Let's have this
yeah.
conversation. Well, when is it going to be? I'll be there.
Yeah. No.
We're still waiting.
And I want to
You
continue
didn't
to
get your
advocate that.
invite?
You-
You go.
I got one. You didn't get one?
I'm always last
Hey.
to the party.
This would be a good time for me to bring this up, though, because I received several comments from people about the video. And people said, thank you very much. I learned a lot. It changed my perspective on things that I didn't see it. I saw it through my own eyes, basically. I got a lot of people saying that.
Oh, I got a ton of that.
Yeah.
People were messaging me from all over, thanking us for having a real conversation and not worrying about being politically correct and not worrying about saying the wrong things. We literally are here to try to fix this and make this right. We're literally trying to do that. You can't do that if you're sugarcoating conversations and trying to not offend people. It's not going to work. We've seen it. We've seen this before. We've seen it come. We've seen it be a main topic, and we've seen it die.
Right.
And here we are again, literally talking about the exact same thing we were talking about 3 years ago.
Oh,
The
I know.
same thing. And people back then were saying, we need to have these conversations. We need to have more conversations. And those conversations never happened until now because another minority was killed.
Mm-hmm.
So where were these conversations?
Well, we're
If I had a crystal ball and told you right now that in 3 years, if you play these numbers on the lotto, I bet you do it. Well, I can tell you right now, if we don't start having these conversations, I guarantee you 3 years from now or less, we're going to be right back here still talking about we need to have conversations that no one's willing to really have.
Well, we need to make sure that this continues.
Yes.
For sure. I was referring to the video that we were talking about, which is on YouTube, it's titled Real Talk, police, race, police, and the community. I think that's what it is, Real Talk, Race, Police, and the Community. So I think if you type that in on YouTube, you'll find the video, and certainly share that with people, and that's awesome.
That was a long title.
What?
I forgot what it was halfway.
I did too.
It's okay. and
I
that
thought
wasn't-
I just typed in City Life Church and it popped up.
Well, you could get there that way
It
too,
was easier.
I think, but I'm just trying to give, hopefully, help.
He's commenting in right now regarding the media.
Okay,
Media is poison and trying to research things is very hard right now, as even search engines sway searches.
Oh.
Again, that may be true, but take your time and
Yeah.
read more
yeah,
until you have it.
no, that's good.
You probably need to restate who we're saying this to.
Who are we saying? this
Whoever made the comment.
I just looked
Oh.
into the camera.
Oh,
It's
oh, okay.
some,
Yeah, it's tough because for real, certain people put out certain things, and the social media, especially the new things today, I think they try to persuade people on what they're thinking, and certain information gets pushed to certain people. I mean, so it's really
I
hard.
think maybe back to what Miguel said is, let's do our homework.
I've been doing the old school stuff. I've been watching documentaries.
Oh,
And, yeah.
historical documentaries and things like
I mean,
that, yeah.
Napoleon gave me some homework last time I talked to him, and he told me to watch the movie, is it Selma? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
The March of Martin Luther
Yeah,
King?
yeah, yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, just things like that, and try to find videos like that try to portray the most. Of course, they have to make some of it for movie,
Sure.
but try to find something that's closest to the truth if you possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
Things of that sort. So, and then, I mean, I've been Googling things of that sort, and then I try to talk to people. I get my best information by talking to Miguel here, Napoleon, or a couple other friends at work, which is really nice and it helps me out.
No, that's good. Here's another question. Why are schools getting pressure to discontinue the school resource program?
We both were school resource officers, and we had a great time there. That was one of the
Yeah.
best times of my career. I think, again, it's just you have knee-jerk reactions, and
Sure.
people are going to go extreme either way. So
You know what's so sad is the school resource officer is probably the best thing for the community. I mean,
Yeah, I would agree.
position-wise, and it was 10 years ago when we were school cops together, and we used to have a blast. We would play, I mean, Miguel and I would meet up, would take turns going to each other's school. We'd be playing volleyball against the kids. We'd be playing baseball, flag football, everything, anything you could think of on the track or the PE field, him and I were out there. We did a lot of other fun things with the school. The interaction with the kids is wonderful, and that really helps me out today because it's been 10 years ago. I'm seeing people out and about, and they're like, Officer Williams, and it takes me a minute because they were like 16 last time I saw them. They're like 27 years old or whatever, and it's pretty awesome because I've already got a rapport with them. They trust me. I trust them. Things of that sort. I think that's great for the
Yeah.
community.
100%, that's 100% hit it nail on the head, because those are going to be your community members down the road.
Yep.
And when you have that bond there, you've established a trust already. I
Yeah.
mean, and then it's just like when you have a good experience at a restaurant. You may tell 5 people. You have a bad experience, you're going to tell 50 people. Well, the more people we can get to have good reviews of us, the better.
Yeah. Well, I know personally, I think my experience, I know with Jimmy as a pastor in the community, he had contacted me. Obviously, we knew each other because I was a reserve police officer at the time. But just saying, "Hey, Steve, we have a situation with the family in the school. Is a possibility your church could help out," kind of a thing. But that's a connection too through a resource officer that maybe has contact with these kids that said there's a need. And as a community, how can we help take care of that need?
I totally remember that. And that was unbelievable. You and the City Life Church kind of opened your arms up that time. That was unbelievable.
No, and it was great, and it worked out great for that young girl too.
Yeah.
And so and everything turned out great. But those kind of things, because but I guess I'm hearing people are, because that's kind of, again, the buzz out there is like, all police are bad. Let's get rid of the school resource officers because they're police officers and they're bad for our kids. But you guys just said why they're good and why it is good. And it's unfortunate, like you said, people knee-jerk reaction. They just go over the edge and just like, hey, we need to get rid of all this stuff. And I think it's one of the most important things in the schools, and it's very, very good. So anyway, we all said our.
Right, and it's tough, and I can only speak for where I work also, on conversations like this. I mean, I'm 100% confident where I work, things are great, and I love my community where I work at. And like you said, there are people that get in trouble, and it's sad. I wish it never happened, but I mean, at the end of the day, we're just gonna have to figure out how to get through this. And like Miguel said earlier, let's open up this dialogue. Let's talk it out and figure it out.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Here's another one. Why do you believe that elected officials do not support police officers in many of the cities? I guess that's what we're kind of seeing. They're not supporting their.
I don't know.
They're
You
local.
got to ask them.
Okay, well, that's a question. So.
I don't know. Who,
What would be your
Can
opinion
I
on
just
that?
give my guess?
Yeah.
I work in a small community, so I think our officials and leaders, they all know us, and we all talk, and they have
Relationship.
meetings together.
Yeah.
And I'm just guessing some of the bigger cities, it's not like that.
They don't know 'em.
Not like that at all. And that's my guess. I was watching a press conference on a big city, and they were talking about, oh, we all need to get together and have some discussions about this topic. And I was thinking, you haven't had a discussion yet? The council members and the chief of the police haven't been having these discussions already? So it just kind of threw me off, like, wow, I mean, our little city here.
especially when you get in politics and like you said, in bigger cities, you don't know what other people's agendas are or their motives. Who knows? They may have aspirations to get to Congress. Who knows?
Yeah.
Right.
Your families must be very concerned and even fearful of what is going on with the hatred toward police officers. What kind of focus training or discussions does the department have directly with spouses and family, if at all? I mean, what support do your families get from local police departments?
I think a lot of the wives, they have a Facebook page, so they have conversations on that and bounce things off of each other, and that's pretty much about it. And like I said earlier, we've been
Yeah, that's something new that you're talking about.
yeah. So now, if you missed it, now the department has offered free counseling for us and our families, spouses, children, for free, and so that's one way the department is supporting us. But as far as the support within the community, pretty
Within
much,
the department, as far
Yeah.
as like,
the wives have a Facebook page,
Yeah.
and they conversate on that. So
I think we just kind of support each other in a
yeah,
way.
the guys, I mean, we're on a shift all. We see each other.
because you
a lot
guys
more than-
obviously can talk all the time about what's going on. Do you, what, I guess this is for me, but when you talk to your wives, because obviously you guys are both married, do they have concerns? Or is that something that's just a given that you guys
You know,
go?
real
you're-
quick, for the first time ever, I've been a police officer for a long time, and I have a little boy who's only known me as a police officer. And last week was the first time I ever saw him worried about me. It broke my heart. I got home about midnight, and I'm a day shift guy. I don't work at night. And I got home at midnight, and he was up waiting for me to make sure I got home, which is scary. And I don't want my family to feel that way, and we have to try our hardest to let them understand. But we have a duty, something we signed up for, and we have an oath, something that we take very serious, and he understands that. And then the next night, we had overtime come out again. And the next night it was voluntarily overtime, and it came out, and my son saw my phone ring, and I look at it, and he goes, "Hey, do you have to go to work again?" And I said, I don't have to go this time. It's voluntarily, so I'm not going to go. And he goes, "Really?" And I go, "Yeah, I'm going to stay home," because he had a baseball game, so I wanted to go watch his baseball game or practice or something like that. And he looked at me and he says, "Hey, Dad, remember when you told me if one of your friends is in trouble, you need to go and help them?" I almost started crying right there. He said that to me,
Wow.
and I
But
said,
you rarely even help me when I ask for help.
Now, I know that's not true. We
yes.
went and did some tile work for you.
"Yes,
buddy, come on."
And you're gonna cry.
that was a joke.
He had
I know.
to change the subject because he was getting ready to cry.
I know,
like-
he was about tearing up.
But I'm just saying that those are the type of stresses that I don't want to put on my family at all.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't. and it's hurtful to know that that's happening, but my family understands. They understand. His family understands. I'm hoping we signed up for this, and especially Miguel. He's trying to make a difference, man, and I'm fortunate that he's with our department and able to open up everybody's eyes to the things that are going on today. And because if we didn't have him and some of the more outspoken people, then we could be clueless. I could be Jimmy from 4 years ago, 5 years ago, just clueless what was going on in this world.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice.
Go ahead.
And so for my wife, I mean, yeah, she's worried about, all this stuff. She even worries about me being as outspoken as I am, even about these topics, because everyone doesn't agree with what's going on in this country right now. You know what I mean? And so she's even very vocal amongst her circle of friends with a lot of this stuff. And you'd be amazed at how much backlash she's gotten. You know what I mean? So she understands that the job that I have is dangerous, especially now in these times. But she's along the same mindset as I am. This is literally our possibly one shot to get this right. And she is out there pounding the pavement just as much as I am, doing not necessarily this, but she's literally on Facebook and social media and having conversations at her hair salon with anyone who will listen or who wants to have a conversation. She's not avoiding conversations with anyone because it's bigger than me. It's bigger than her. It's bigger than these conversations. It's not about me. It's about the next generation coming up. How are they going to be treated? Because I don't want them treated the way I was treated.
Yeah.
So.
This is a critical, crucial moment in time in history that in the United States that we can change some stuff.
Do you know what helps me get through it? Is I only have to deal with half of what Miguel deals with. And you know what I mean by that?
Yeah,
As I put
absolutely.
my uniform on, I have to deal with a day-to-day issues with all the things going on in the world. I take my uniform off, nobody knows who I am. I just blend in with the world. I can go hide and do my own thing, right? Miguel can't.
Right.
He takes his uniform off, and now he has to deal with other issues, okay? And I think that's the whole reason why we're here talking, is how do we get it to the point where Miguel can take his uniform off and just blend in and be like anybody else, right? And just be able to just go about his day and not have to worry about any more issues.
Yeah.
And that's our ultimate goal. And can we get there? That's our
That's our
hope,
hope.
right?
And
That's
you
what
can
we
turn the
want.
music up in your headphones as loud as you want.
Yes. So that's where we're at right now.
Yeah. I really appreciated it so far. Yeah, I just wanted, is there any questions or anything that showed up? Nobody? People are
The
mesmerized.
reason why is because Jimmy and I are so good at this.
I know.
that we
You just
take the
answer all that.
questions right
I
out
think
of
we
the
only have 2 viewers. Like if you want.
people watching this.
Nick, how many do we have?
But it's
Oh, okay.
it's being recorded, so people will go back and find it just like they would on anything else. But plus, we're doing it on this page that we're not usually doing this stuff on, so it's still good. I think
Okay, good.
we're having good conversations. So I just wanted to make sure that this was public and that anybody could tap in and watch this. So here's one kind of interesting than we sort of talked about it a little bit ago, but somebody's asking what you think of the Rayshard Brooks charges. Does it make you second guess the risk of being an officer? And I think you mentioned you not having familiarity with it. And why don't you answer the part, because understanding different states, different laws and all that stuff.
Yeah, so one thing that people aren't really aware of is each state has their own laws. Each jurisdiction has their own laws. So what is the law in Atlanta is going to be completely different from the law in Washington or New York or wherever. So depending on what their local or their state laws are, will determine if what happened is right or wrong. So the whole thing has to play out. I don't know. So, who knows?
Yeah.
You got to think about policies, training.
your policies,
There's
procedures
so
for your
many
department.
variables, and that's when we talked about earlier. It's like I can't really make a statement on it because we just don't know what the variables are
Right.
at this point.
And there's been a lot of talk about when in terms of police reform, outlawing chokeholds and taking away certain powers from law enforcement. On the West Coast, we already can't do a lot of that stuff.
Right.
So we're already ahead of the curve. So a lot of this stuff that people are talking about that police aren't going to be able to do, we already can't do it. The West Coast is pretty advanced when it comes to the level of training, the level of just the culture's different on the West Coast than it would be on the East Coast or maybe down south. I'll say that.
Right, and it kind of blows my mind because Seattle Police Department is known as like the founder of the de-escalation training, the mental health training, like that was all pushed through Washington State. And so the Seattle Police Department was training a lot of places, and people were flying everywhere to come in. So I believe the West Coast is, like Miguel said, is higher, far above in our training in this type of setting.
Yeah. The second part does kind of makes it harder for you to define too, but because it's asking about you're second guessing the risk of being an officer. Obviously, if this situation was within your department or things that you understood all the laws and everything, I guess I can try to paint a what if thing. Maybe that would help this person, but
I mean, you can Monday morning quarterback
Yeah.
any situation, but unless you're
Right.
there, and who knows?
But let me say this. Let's just say, putting that aside, let's say that your prosecutor doesn't necessarily back you as an officer. That's obviously not the case. But if things start, because it seems like things in some other parts of the country seem to be a little bit shaky in that whole process, like whether it's a mayor or a prosecutor or somebody. Because like in Atlanta, I was just reading something that if some of their officers were resigning or leaving the job because they weren't feeling supported or something. I haven't done enough research, but I guess the question would be, at some point, there would be a feeling of a risk, higher risk.
No question. I think at this point where we're at right now, law enforcement, I think any officer would be second guessing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or thinking that maybe they won't get the support when it comes down to it. I think that's anyone. I mean, imagine if that was your job. You know what I mean?
know.
Imagine if anyone's job, anywhere you work, imagine if for whatever reason your profession was now being scrutinized around the country. You know what I mean? Anyone would be feeling that sort of way.
Yeah, it's a scary situation. Even where I work at, we're down 5 officers right now. It's going to be tough to fill those spots.
I think it's like 10.
Yeah, maybe, but it's going to be tough for people to fill those spots, which is kind of scary for us because then it puts us even at a higher risk when we're out there by ourselves.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, for sure. Wait, okay, so,
So first of all, I'll get this one out of the way. No questions, just tell Miguel hello, LOL.
somebody likes you.
Keisha Stewart.
Tell Keisha, thank you.
Oh, yeah. She's in Houston.
Oh, nice. Houston,
Yeah.
Texas.
Okay,
Nice.
Great fans from Houston. Yes.
she's watching.
Listen, do not send me no crazy messages after this is done.
That's right.
But I know that will happen.
Somebody asked, how do you feel about white privilege?
How do I feel about it? I wish I had some of it. That would be great. I think
Here's my question.
so. I actually put something up on this on my social media because whenever white privilege is brought up, white people get extremely defensive and angry about that, as if to me, from what I've been told, based on the post that I put, white privilege doesn't mean you didn't work hard for what you got. It doesn't mean you were given anything. It doesn't mean that you don't deserve to be where you're at. It just means that in your path to get where you're at, there weren't hurdles put in your way that were slowing you down to get there. If I sat and told you guys how hard it was for me to become a police officer, it would blow your mind. It would absolutely blow your mind. And I'll give you one example. When I was 22 years old, I was ranked number 1 with the police department up the I-5 corridor. I was the youngest person to ever be number 1 on that list with no military experience. At the time, I had already been a CSO, which is like a cadet taking people to jail at Lacey PD. I had already been a reserve. I have never in my life done a drug. Never smoked a drug, never sold a drug, nothing. A polygraph generally takes about an hour from start to finish. I was in that polygraph room for about 4 hours with this guy trying to convince me that I was a drug dealer. And I didn't get the job. Absolutely ridiculous. And the stories go on and on about how hard it was for me to get a job in law enforcement. So that definitely is a hurdle that took me time to get over to even be in the position that I'm at right now. And I can say unequivocally, if I was not black, that those hurdles would not have been there, and it would have been a lot easier for me to get hired. That is a fact, because the stories would blow your mind if I told how hard it was and what was said to me and what was told to me in these interview processes.
Right. And when I first heard that word white privilege, I was the same way. Like, what are you talking about? I worked hard too. I did everything I needed to do. I did my schooling, all my things, and I didn't believe it at first until it was laid out. I think Oprah Winfrey had a story on it, and I actually watched it.
You watch Oprah?
It was on Facebook. And I watched it, and it was actually a really good way that it was explained. So find Oprah Winfrey about white privilege on Facebook, and that'll help you out. But it actually opens my eyes even a little bit more, saying, I get it. And it all starts from a long time ago when, as we say, things were not equal in the world, people getting jobs and things of that sort. Even today to 20 years ago, if Miguel and I were sitting at a job to do a job interview at the exact same time, we had the exact same qualifications, I do think I would have had the advantage. And why is that? Because they're saying people want to hire people that look like them.
Yep.
People don't want someone who doesn't look like them, and so on. And that's very important to know, because we need to stop worrying about colors, and we need to start worrying about credentials and personalities and knowing who people actually are.
Yeah. No, for
I
sure.
think that comes with fear of the unknown.
Yeah, I think it is. And I don't know. I think people just make their unconscious bias decisions on,
Some of it, but
and they're comfortable with certain things also.
a lot of it's racism. Let's be honest. It's racism. That's why. The numbers speak for themselves. There are not a lot of African Americans in positions of power. There's not a lot of African Americans in a lot of mid-management spots. There's just not. It's racism. It's implicit bias.
That's the word I was
But in general, there are racist undertones when it comes to that stuff. 100%. The numbers don't lie, and the fact that we're here talking about it in 2020 says that that's the case.
Do you think people, and I'm saying white people, are conditioned to like the implicit bias?
No
From
question.
a small person till they get to an adult and they get to the point where they really don't realize they're doing it?
We're taught from early on in elementary school. Remember when we were kids in the box of crayons, and you want to draw your family?
Right,
What was the skin color? Peach.
right, right,
Flesh.
right,
What was my skin color? It didn't exist. I had to use brown.
right.
Right? Nude stockings
Yeah, and those are your favorite to wear, aren't they?
on my head when I rob banks. But that's another thing. But
Oh my God.
but even with stockings, they were called nude.
Yeah.
Well, what was a black woman supposed to get? If you read some of the old books, don't go in the woods, the black man will get you.
Yeah. Oh, I
There's-
I,
I mean,
no,
there's-
I know
we can go
you're
on
right.
and on.
And it's stuff that white people don't even think
You would
about.
never think about it. And then even if you
Everyone-
look at the map of the world, America's blown up, other countries are shrunken.
Right.
There's that. I mean, Jane Elliott explains all this stuff. You can find her on YouTube. But Jane Elliott, she does trainings for white people to show them how she does a blue eye, green eye thing.
It's brown eye,
Brown eye,
blue eye.
Brown eye, blue eye.
And
But does he have anything to say?
that's a great. I've seen that.
Says
Yeah.
the analogy goes, a fish in water doesn't know they are in water.
Oh,
Right.
this is from Parker. The analogy goes, a fish in water doesn't know they are in water. Oh, yeah. No, that's good.
That's true.
So everything.
Well, let me make one more point. Talk about privilege. Have you ever been in a situation where you're the only white person there?
My wife has.
Okay, and was it uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when I got pummeled.
Okay.
White,
Well, there's that. But generally,
saying.
when white people are the only white person there, it's very uncomfortable.
It would be.
That's
would-
our life.
No, I get.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
Totally
That's
understand
that's
that.
privilege.
That happened to me when I was at Thanksgiving at your house. And I didn't feel uncomfortable.
Right.
It wasn't uncomfortable until the hostility came toward me because I was white.
So
Jane's talking off camera, so you might not be able to hear her. But anyway, is that when you lived in Arkansas or something? Okay. Anyway,
I had that exactly same thing happen to me when I was in Myrtle Beach, and that was
Can we just skip that?
12 years ago.
Let's just
We'll
skip,
skip
that,
that.
and just.
you brought it
It
up.
was a good memory. It was a good memory though. That was fun.
Jimmy
We're
likes
getting into
he
story
likes
time here.
Myrtle Beach.
Beyond or after these talks, what might be the next step to continue moving the needle? One thing I've noticed over the years, as I grew up in the South, is that people tend to go and be a part of what is normal to them. In the South, at least, it used to be this way. Whites lived in white communities, blacks lived in black communities. Even if they started integrating, eventually it ends up one way or the other, black churches versus white churches. We even have that here. What can we do to learn and spend time with those you don't know?
Just that. Go knock on the door. Go to one of their church services. Go to one of their church services.
Wouldn't it be nice if the two pastors from the two separate churches talked to each other and did something together as a community?
You and I already talked about that.
Yeah,
Which would be nice.
and I have connected with the pastor from New Life Baptist Church here.
Nice.
He's fairly new in our community. Super guy. I like him a lot, and so we're planning on getting together and do more. And then I think hopefully some more interaction with this, because I think it's important. So that's a good point.
Wouldn't it be nice a couple times a year to intermix and
Yeah.
have two churches come together and somehow figure out?
I'd let them do the music because
No.
everybody be dancing and having a good time.
Yeah, that'd be good. I think you guys
We
do a
guys
good
do
job
all right?
also.
Yeah.
So I already gave your daughter some compliments. So
Well,
didn't realize she was listening to me. I was kind of embarrassed. But that's okay.
well, it's good that they
Was
were
it to
positive.
not put so much lipstick on the microphone?
On the microphone, yeah.
Inside joke.
She's got lipstick on the microphone because when she sings, and Jimmy's got her microphone, there's lipstick all over it. So Kim, if you're watching, it's from the microphone.
Yes, was not from another
it's
woman.
not from someone else.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I love that. But that is,
Says Miguel, can you share some examples of being treated differently with or without your uniform on?
Okay.
besides
so,
the one you shared on the video.
Yeah. So
Why don't you share that one when you and I were at Fred Meyer, when you and I were together and that one person just approached you? You
Yeah, I
want to
know.
move on to that one?
let's
Okay.
move on from that one.
Okay.
Okay. So
Be quiet, Jimmy.
it's a good one, but
It's
let's
a good
different
one, but I
different
think
time and
maybe
place.
it's too close to home.
So,
we don't want to put those out
I had went to the gym one morning to do cardio, and then I went to Bass Pro Shop in Tacoma. This was last year.
Oh, yeah.
And I walked in, and I used to work loss prevention before I was a police officer. I ran multiple stores for a big box company. And so when I walked into the doors, I immediately noticed the guy who was loss prevention, because he stopped, looked at me, and then kept going, and he walked away fast. And it was around 11 o'clock in the afternoon. No one's in there.
That'd be morning.
Morning, yes.
He was
After
working
12.
graveyard
After-
shift
Yeah,
then.
my schedule's all. I
get
don't know
it.
what day it is.
Well,
half
you were
the
in
time.
charge of multiple box stores, so.
Yes, that was many years ago. So, anyways, so he sees me, stops in his tracks, and then immediately went to an area in the opposite direction where I was walking. So you know how you get the feeling when someone's looking at you? I got that feeling, and I turned around, and he's behind a rack of clothes looking like this. I'm like, whatever. So I go over, and I go to the gun parts because I needed a magazine loader to, whatever, for my range bag.
To load your magazine?
Yes, but I needed it for my range bag, so I'm looking for a magazine loader. So anyways, so I get to the gun section, and now he's walking towards me, and he's watching me the whole time as he walks by. Okay, so I continue to look. Then he goes over to another portion of the section, which was directly across from the gun section, and he's staring at me over another rack. And I'm like, okay, now I'm getting irritated because I know what he's doing. There's no one else in the store. It's me and some old white guy. And so I can't find the magazine loader, so I'm going up and down the aisles, and he comes around, and now he's walking behind me, still watching me. So finally I stopped him. I said, will you please stop following me? Is there a reason why you're following me? And I go, I used to work at loss prevention, and you clearly are watching me because there's no one else in the store but me and that guy. And I said, I'm a police officer. I go, would you like to see my ID so you can feel comfortable enough about me being in your store so you can leave me alone? And the old white guy walks by and goes, good for you. I watched the whole thing too. And he goes, oh, no, sir. No, I was just, I'm just walking around. And I go, here's my ID. And he goes, oh, yep, you are a police officer. Thank you. And just walked off. So there's one instance. In uniform, I can't tell you how many times someone has called 911 and the person that they're calling 911 for is black. When I show up, if I deal with that person that they've called 911 on, this is no lie. If I've determined there wasn't a crime and there was no reason for me to be talking about and they really shouldn't have called on that person,
They think you're
they
favoring.
think that I'm in favor of that black person, and then they have actually called other officers to get a different opinion or asked officers who were also on scene after they spoke to me because they think that me and this black person I've never met before were in cahoots.
Yeah.
That's happened on multiple occasions.
Yeah, that's just,
Parker says, Miguel, quickly talk about our gun range trip.
So he and I went shooting at an indoor range in Lakewood.
Why don't you let everybody know what you're talking about because they can't hear her.
Okay, so Officer Parker and I, Napoleon and I, went to a gun range in Lakewood. It's an indoor gun range, and it was pretty new at the time, so we had never been there. So we walk in there, and it's pretty packed, and they treated us basically like criminals. They were beyond rude, and we're watching everyone else be dealt with because we had to wait in line to even get a lane to shoot in, and we're watching. They were so beyond rude to us. It was absolutely ridiculous. They were very short with us, very quick, just irritated to even be talking to us. And we're just like, what is going on here? Because they weren't talking like this to anyone else, and we're doing the exact same thing everyone else is, filling out the paperwork and all that. And then when it came time to show your ID, if you're a police officer, you get like an extra target or something. So we showed them our cards, immediately changed. Oh, and now they're best friends. Oh, you know so-and-so, do you know so-and-so? And I can't tell you how many times that has happened, and he'll tell you too, how many times that has happened to us where people will treat us a certain way until they find out we're a police officer. And then they're shocked. When my wife and I are out and about and we're on vacation or whatever, you would be amazed how many times people stop and ask if I'm a professional athlete. And I get it.
because you're a stud.
I get that, which is fine. But then when I tell them I'm a police officer, they're like, oh, you are? Huh. Where? I tell them.
Yeah, where?
And they're just like,
In Africa?
all right.
Oh, my goodness.
They can't, like Napoleon said, when people say, wow, you speak very well. Huh.
Yeah,
Like he's not supposed to.
right.
Yeah. So I hope that answers your question.
It's interesting because, and this is real. And,
Oh, it's very real.
and it's stuff that white people just don't get it.
Exactly. And then they tell me that doesn't happen, or they think it's an isolated event. Oh, okay. Well, okay. Yeah, sure. That's that one time. No, this stuff has happened numerous times where we can't even remember all this stuff. I forgot. Back when I was in loss prevention back in the day, I was my first day at a new store. Walked in, and you stop at the customer service desk to get the phone. We had inter office phones. They're called SpectraLinks, and basically they're a cell phone for within the store, and you can call different managers or whatnot. I pick the phone up, and it rings, and I don't know anyone. And I pick the phone up. I'm like, loss prevention, and they go, hey, just so you know, this person just walked in, and he's wearing A, B, C, and D, and I'm like,
That's me.
okay, well, what's the deal? He looks suspicious. He just walked over here. So if you see him, I'm just letting you know. I think he's going to steal something. It was me.
That's hilarious, but it's not.
Yeah, that was me. See, it's funny to you, and it's funny to everyone thinking about it, but that's our
No,
life.
that's not. It's
We-
not funny, obviously.
Well, I
there.
know, but it, like you said, people don't think these things really happen, and they happen nonstop. And like Napoleon said, how is it that all of us have the same stories? We can never meet, and then we're instantly going to bond because we have so many of the same experiences and the same, upbringings. A lot of times, it's so much easier for us to be around other minorities because we know what that person's been through, and you have that instant connectivity right then and there because this stuff happens all the time.
That's why we need to. That's why white people in our area needs to help put a stop to it. Because I think we're the only ones that can do it.
Exactly.
And we're the ones that are creating it also. And you see, I'm being all quiet here because I have no stories like
Yeah,
this.
no.
None, not one. So that's the thing that we need to recognize. And I'm like I said before, I had no clue until we start. I mean, we've been friends for a long time, for 20 years. And the first 10 years, I had no clue. No
Yeah.
clue this was going on. It was going on right behind my back. I probably even chuckled at some of the things because I probably thought it was funny. And but not realizing this is a day-to-day incident that happens all the time. And my friends, they just kind of get used to it, or just kind of they expect it to happen, so they're just waiting. I guess.
Exactly. It's almost like we're literally just waiting for something to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's things that, yeah, we're used to it, but it still hurts and it's still scars, and there's still it creates, like Napoleon was saying, it creates, you almost develop a different personality to conform to your surroundings. Because if you are who you are, you're automatically going to be, we're being judged anyways. Now we think if we don't speak a certain way, if we don't dress a certain way, if we don't do things, we're going to be definitely treated
You're
differently.
probably like a master of adapting. Depending on
100%.
what situation you're in, you have to
100%.
figure out to adapt. And then, like for Miguel, like he said that people say that he's making this stuff up and all that stuff. The difference between Miguel and a normal guy like Napoleon's a lot more quiet, a lot more reserved, keeps things to himself. He's not that way. He's more of an expert, and he tells people what's on his mind. He has
Sure.
no problems. So he gets labeled as a guy that's complaining,
Or angry.
or angry, or mad, or making this stuff up.
Right.
And he's not, because I've seen it all. And Napoleon's had just as many experiences as Miguel, but
And
he just
came
doesn't.
from the South.
Yeah, he came from the South, so he's probably had worse. But he keeps it inside.
Yep.
And he doesn't want people to think that he's the angry person, the mad person, or upset. He just wants to adapt and just make it through day-to-day life without having any conflict. And mainly because we have conflict every day when we're at work. Monday through Friday, our
Oh, yeah.
day job,
But
it's
you-
all conflict. When we want to get off, we want to decompress, we want to let that go. But
You want to hear something? Since we're having a real conversation, I'll tell you a thing that's happened to just probably about every black guy that works in a field or in a setting where they're one of the only ones there. One of the most hurtful things white people say to us is, "What are you talking about? You're the whitest black guy I know."
Wow.
That said a lot. That is said a whole lot. And one time I had to stop and explain this. And I said, the reason why you may think that is because we can't come to work and be ourselves. Because if we're too loud, we're angry. If we're too funny, we're not serious enough. If we're this, we're that. If we're this, we're that. So we basically have to come to work and put on our uniform as a person to even function and live in this environment.
what about dress a certain way?
We have to dress
Yeah.
a certain way, because if we don't, I'm a gangbanger, or so-and-so's going to assume that I'm this or I'm that. That's a fact, and that has been said to me more times than I can even count. And I'm sure that Napoleon can say the same thing, and even other officers that are minorities who have said the exact same thing. And it's said more times than not. And people have no idea how hurtful that is, because they have no idea that we literally have to zip up a facial uniform to coexist.
I really appreciate you sharing that, because that's stuff we need to hear.
Exactly.
So I want to do a flip-flop story here, because this is a good example of you to me, because I think as a black person, me being a white person coming into Lacey Police Department, you treated me with the utmost respect and professionalism, and you went out of your way to help me in anything I needed. And I appreciate that. And I don't know if that's something that, I know that's who you are, because I know you really
I
well.
feel sorry
and you're,
for you.
and you're the, and I could accept that too.
You look lost.
I was like,
Let me help you.
who's this guy wandering around here? His
Hey,
gun's
buddy,
on the
your
wrong hip.
gun's over here.
Yeah, the gun. Why is your gun on your left hip?
Put
I'm
bullets in it,
left-handed.
please.
No, stop it over there. But anyway,
Okay, go ahead.
in all seriousness,
The chief
No.
asked Miguel to follow you, by the way.
Can you just make sure he doesn't shoot his foot off or something?
and it very well could have been that.
Yeah.
But So be honest with me then. No, because or is it just something that you're like? Because it was a great example to me how if the roles reversed as a white person, and let's say you came in, I should have done everything to go out of my way to help you, make you feel comfortable, part of the department, all that stuff. I felt that from you, but I think as white people, we need to do that. It doesn't matter who it is, but I think we could treat everybody like.
But you know why the people don't? Because everyone, like Napoleon said, a fish doesn't know he's in water. Neither do the majority of white people. They don't see anything different because their life, like Jimmy said, he just wakes up and goes to work and doesn't think about anything else. So they don't see that, oh, well, that person may be adjusting a little bit differently, because they would never even stop to even think about that. Like I said, they don't even believe half the stories I tell. So why would they go out of their way to make me feel comfortable or anyone else? Because they don't even think it even exists. A lot of people don't even think racism exists.
Well, you know,
Even in this city, people think racism does not exist.
and they're obviously living in a hole somewhere.
Maybe so, but that's the reality of it. But that's
they've
why.
tried to just lie to themselves to make that. Now,
But if they're not lying to themselves, they're just in their bubble. And if you don't go outside your bubble, why would you even think about it?
Yeah.
Here's how I equate that. When you go to the grocery store and you get to Safeway and you swipe your card and they say, do you want to donate $1 to cancer? If you never had cancer, you're probably not going to donate. If cancer's never touched your family, you're probably not going to donate. Had you had a family member who died of cancer that you were close with, absolutely you're going to donate. So if you don't have cancer, you're not going to really think about the people that do, because it has not affected you, if that makes any sense.
yeah, no, totally. And I think I brought this up when you and I had a conversation, might have been on our Facebook Live, but when you and I had talked probably a year ago, we were just having conversation. And I had to ask myself at that point, am I biased, or do I have a prejudice or anything? And I had to put myself in a scenario that would help me answer that question. And the answer, unfortunately for me, was, you know what? I think I am, or I have been tendency, because what I said was, okay, so I picture myself at midnight walking down the sidewalk. Let's say a white guy with a hoodie comes by. I'm probably not going to pay a whole lot of attention. He goes by. If a black man with a hoodie comes by, I probably have a little bit more attention to that. So that is an indicator to me
Yep.
that there is that. And I think we have to ask ourselves that question.
And why is that? It's because
Becau-
we grew up and people above us or our parents would teach us
Yeah.
that a black man's a scary man. Stay away from that side. Or in segregation back in the day. And I was watching a documentary just recently, and it's so funny how close everything is to us. Like segregations in schools. I think that was the first time they finally put schools together was like 1974 or somewhere in that area. And I was thinking in my head, I like started elementary school like right after that.
We worked with
And-
a person who was
Yes.
in
What-
segregation.
And so I think, wow, it
in the
was
South.
that
Yeah.
close
Yeah.
to our lifespan. And so people say, oh, it was 400 years ago or whatever. No, it was
my
40
mom
years
couldn't
ago.
drink out of white people water fountains.
Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
Tony, you guys know Tony.
Yeah.
He has the same, because he grew up in Arkansas.
Yeah.
When that time when he.
Him
we
and
did
Jane were
the thing-
neighbors. Yeah.
But he's younger than I am, and he tells all the,
Yeah.
these are the colored restrooms, and these are for white people, and
I do think
Yeah,
we're
in the same
insulated
town.
living in this part of the country. I really do. Because I've been to the South and things are different down there. And doesn't mean it's not happening here. I think people are just, I guess they hide it a little bit better. I guess that's the best way to put it, is it's not out there as blatant as it is in the South.
100%.
That's what I see here, because people won't say anything. Like in the South, they'll just yell straight at them and say
just-
whatever they have on their mind. Up here, they won't. They'll just think in their head and walk away.
Which
Or-
is, I
or
would
just
rather have it
avoid
that way. I'd rather people just say what they say,
So you
and
can
then
point 'em
you
out
know
and who they are.
you know who you're dealing with.
right.
So
But obviously, as a black person here in this community, you've had this happen to you.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
but they still have things segregated in the South. And I'm going to make it real quick. 12 years ago-ish, maybe 15 years ago, not long ago,
But that's not like a real segregation. That's just like a.
But they're separating things still. Things are still being separated. And
Yeah.
all right, well, I'm just saying I've been down there and I know that I'll say a different example. Different schools, they still have schools that have majority black people in it. They still have schools with majority white people in them.
Well, that depends on the neighborhoods.
And
Redlining.
I know, I'm just letting you know that, because I've been down there and talked to people, and they make sure they can be two schools in the exact same school district, but they will have spring breaks on different weeks. I mean, it's just crazy how they would do that.
You call it redlining?
It's redlining.
Yeah,
That
'cause-
still goes on.
And I think Brenda had earlier asked was talking about that or something, but there's, where they put them.
They basically draw a circle or a red line around the areas where minorities generally live in, and those schools don't get the funding. Those schools don't get the resources, and that's why they're in that part of the town.
So this started back in the 50s and 60s, and the banks started it, where the banks will figure out who they're going to give home loans to. There could be him and I make the exact same amount of money, but he lives in this red square over here, and I live over here. I will get a loan because they're giving loans for this area.
And he won't.
He makes the exact same amount. He lives in the red lining, and they're not going to give him a loan because he lives in this place that they think that they're not going to get their money back, or
Sure.
it's a low poverty area, things of that sort.
So all those minorities were pushed to those areas.
So property taxes are way lower in that area. And so
That's why the schools
those
aren't
homes
funded and all
fund
that.
that school. These homes fund this school. So we got two kids in the same grade, second grade, but this guy has no books and this guy has free books, things of
Right.
that sort. So it makes it a little bit difficult for other schools
Yeah.
and schools of minorities.
Which affects generations going down the line. When you can't buy a house, then you can't get equity, and you can't help your kids
your
buy
kids,
a house, and
yeah.
then so on and so forth. So it keeps everyone down,
It's a
and that's why those schools are like that. And still to this day, that still goes on.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, as much as it sucked for you to have that whole thing go sideways with the polygraph and everything, I'm glad it did because you're here in our community, and
Yeah,
I really
everything
do.
happens for a reason, I guess.
I actually called him.
Did you
And
tell
Jimmy had to make call in a favor.
I had to call in a favor and say, hey. No,
Yeah.
but I'm happy he's here too. So I think things do happen for a reason. Hopefully not bad things, but you know what I
Right.
mean. But I think Miguel being in this community is huge for the
Yeah,
city.
absolutely. You know what? And not to, I know you don't want to sit here and have us talk all this great things about you, but the reality is you do so much in our community as a volunteer, more than anybody that I know of, as far as from the police department.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
And you lead by example in that. And even things that we've done, you've jumped in and said, man, I'm all over it. Like, how can we do this? And so I appreciate that about you. And boy, keep up the good work. And I think we're making positive direction.
And that's the thing. So we're sitting here talking about all these terrible things that have happened to me before, but it is what it is. But you can't stop moving forward.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's still people who need help, and there's still kids who are poor, and there's still kids who want things that they can't get. So,
Yeah.
what else am I going to do?
And yeah, exactly.
Because you know what? I went through that. So
Yeah.
why am I not going to put my efforts towards making sure they can get that at
Yeah.
least for a short period of time, if that's the case?
Yeah. And the guy sitting next to you, Jimmy, you do
Yeah,
the same
exactly.
thing. He does the same thing.
I think that's why we like each other.
it's probably-
we're trying to
probably
outdo
why.
each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's right. These are
Oh,
both
Jane just put a plug in for Hearts to
Hearts
Homes.
to Homes.
Shameless plug.
Hearts to Homes.
Jane asked me to say that real quick. So Christmas is coming. Everybody know it comes every year, so don't forget about it.
Yeah, that's right.
There's
Unpaid.
little children that we need to bring Christmas to.
That's right.
Ones that normally would not get it. So
I wonder if we can get George tamed down a little bit, we could Duke and George could team up.
As reindeer.
Yeah, that would be awesome. For
Axel
Hearts to
could be
Home.
Rudolph.
And Axel.
Sorry, he
Yeah,
could be
okay.
Rudolph.
Whatever
I'm just
whatever needs to be.
No,
But
my dog's kind of a jerk to other
oh,
dogs.
really? That's not
I
good.
don't know why. He's
But-
actually pretty good when Kim's not around. So.
Oh well.
Yeah.
uh,
Ooh, hope
be
she
careful.
watches.
Yeah,
Ooh.
but yeah,
Just kidding.
you might not have the bedroom door open tonight. So
Yeah. So. All right, we're getting close. Any more questions?
yeah.
We do
Was-
have one more
Okay.
that did come in, and it was, how can we all be a part of the solution? What is the one thing that we can do to keep the narrative alive?
Have conversations like we're doing right now, and don't let it die down.
That's what I said in the last video, as I challenge everybody to pick one person of color, and it doesn't have to be a black person. It can be anybody. It can be Hispanic or something different than you. and talk to them, ask them how things have been going, and ask them, has it been difficult for you? And ask them those tough questions. Is there anything I say that I upset you with? Anything I say that's inappropriate? And just try to gain some own knowledge for yourself. And hopefully, I see Nick laughing over there.
Yeah,
Someone
your
said
wife's
something funny.
publicly chastising you.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
not nice.
So
Axel would eat them and
Oh, okay.
not nice.
I just got yelled at. So,
Yeah.
anyways, I challenge you just to talk to somebody and open that conversation up and keep this alive. Don't let it die down. And just remember, everybody, this is a great community because of everybody. If everybody was the same, it would be horrible. It would be boring.
Yeah.
So, as Steve would probably
Diversity.
say, God made everybody different for
We
a
did.
reason.
That's right.
I took that from him. So,
Did you?
yeah.
You didn't even know you said it.
Well, I say a lot of things.
Steve
that
doesn't know I
probably
listen to him.
I appreciate that. You do. You do it. Father's Day is coming up Sunday. So
Oh, it is?
yeah, it is. So guys, if, think of your dads or
Yeah.
what do you got, Nick? What Parker said?
Hey,
says,
Nick,
I
why don't you
would-
come here and pretend you're Napoleon for a second? And we'll just pretend he's.
people to have conversations without people of color present.
Oh, that's a good point. So Napoleon's saying, have people have conversations with other people with like whites and whites having
Oh,
conversations
100%.
without Miguel standing there.
I actually
basically.
did that this Saturday
Yeah.
with some friends. My wife and I went over to some friends' house, and we had a discussion kind of like this.
Did you social distance?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes. I carry a tape measure in my pocket. So we did that this weekend. Went and hung out with some good
good.
friends, and I'm lucky because the circle I hang around with has pretty much the same views I have. And that's one thing I always try to fill my life with people that are not like me, but
That way you
people
never
that I
have
want
me
to
over to
aspire
your
to
house?
be. I guess that's the best way to put it. People
That's-
I want to aspire to be is who I try to put in my circle of
That's
life.
See,
why-
but those people need to be having conversations with the people who don't think like them. So
Right.
you can maybe explain some things to
Well,
the
I
people
think-
who need the explaining to.
Oh, I think we're just gathering up, huddling up, getting the forces together, trying to have the same game plan, and then Saturday night I said ready, set, hike, and everybody went their own way. So I think we're gonna get it figured out.
Yeah.
You know that because you used to be a quarterback.
Yes. Go ahead, Jane.
Are there local organizations in Thurston County that we can join to be a part of the conversation and join the movement?
The Hispanic Roundtable's one. I think that's pretty much about it.
I think it would be nice
So
if
make it
there
start one.
worse. I
Or
think
yeah, you start one.
we need some type of groups, and this is not a new issue that's been out there. It's been out here a couple different times, but we need somebody to start a group.
How about this? Neighborhood watches. Those have pretty much died. Start
Yeah,
a
we used to
neighborhood.
have-
we used to have them. Yeah.
The helping hand in our window when I was a kid, we had one of those.
Yeah.
Like, hey, if you're in trouble, you can come to our house.
Safe place.
Say, yeah, all the different things.
Start a block watch and have neighborhood gatherings and have conversations or whatever. There you
Yeah.
go.
I will do that with my neighbors for sure. We will this summer. We'll have those conversations.
Me too.
We're just getting a little bit. Hey, so Sunday, 10 o'clock.
Oh, and by the way, if you're gonna
Hey,
have
don't interrupt me.
I got to get this out. If you're gonna have conversations, don't have it over Facebook.
Yeah.
Have it
Oh,
face to
good point.
face.
Good point.
Have it with people that you can actually see,
Real FaceTime?
and not just random conversations with Joe Blow down the street who's radical or whatever. Have face to face conversations because that's a lost art.
Yeah.
And start with people you know. Because, like
Yeah.
you said, there's so much bantering back and forth over the internet and Facebook and Instagram and all this stuff. I mean, there's people from the South or the East Coast bantering back and forth here, and I don't even get involved because most of the time, what you mean to say gets miscrewed to something totally different. It's better to get your heart out, your feelings out, how you feel in person, and somebody can understand what you're saying instead of over Facebook. As you know, things can be turned
Yeah, very easily.
really quick.
Okay, now you can go ahead.
Sorry
Well-
about that.
I appreciate what you said.
Okay.
Don't ever interrupt me again. I'm just teasing. So I think we're probably wrapping up unless there was any more here. I was just going to say, putting in a plug for our Sunday service. So 10 o'clock is our premier service. You can go on our website, citylifewa.com, or it's going to be YouTube also. But doing a Father's Day service. It'll be online, of course. So join us for that. And I want to thank you guys again for coming on. Napoleon, thank you for jumping on there online.
Missed you,
your
Napoleon.
seat was right there between these two guys. And I
Do you know if Luke is going to be attending Sunday service?
Lucas,
Luke.
Luke.
Yeah, for Father's Day.
I know there's a joke behind this somewhere or something funny.
Yeah.
Oh,
You just,
Is that your
whatever.
dog?
Luke, Star Wars.
how can they not get that?
I'm your father.
When you have kids. Yeah, I saw that on Buzz Lightyear once.
Yeah.
Okay, go
Toy
ahead.
Story's good. Anyway. Hey, we're all about having fun too. I mean, we can be very serious, and we are. We have been tonight, but we're also having a good time as friends.
How
as
we have
friends
fun
should.
when you don't even get the best joke, Father's Day joke of all time. That was terrible. Oh, jeez.
It's a Star Wars Father's Day.
We did do a Star Wars.
Yes, we did here a couple of years ago, didn't
Apparently
we?
you forgot.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't that memorable.
I'm sorry. It was very memorable. I like those shoes, by the way.
Thank you. They're called Joyride.
Are they?
And in the air bubble, there's little balls in there.
So
Are those
when you
ones you wore the other day? I thought they were suction cupping on the ground.
No.
Joy Ride or Joy Bird?
Joyride. They're so comfortable.
so do they?
And then they've got them in here too.
Oh, they have lights in them too. So when you run, they fly.
They have those Heelys. They have skate
That's right.
things in them too.
I like the little wheels on the bottom.
These
Miguel.
are the new orthopedic shoes. So if you
So
need a
I
pair-
need 'em.
These are great.
They look very
they
comfortable.
Are so comfortable. They just slide right on.
Hey, tell Kim I want a pair.
And if someone is looking to buy
Somebody-
Jimmy or anybody
me,
a
too.
Father's Day gift, Nike Joyride.
So those like
shoes.
$200 or
No, they were like I got them on sale.
What size are those?
These were 13.
13? That's too big.
Oh,
They were like $85
Really?
because they're on sale.
I
They're
like-
normally like 180, but they
where
were
at?
So
Nike.com.
Well, you
Really?
better, hey,
And
can
you didn't-
Kathy go pick up Kim and bring her
They're
down
not in the
south?
outlet stores yet.
Someone is suggesting a book, I'm not gonna say who it is. White Fragility is a great book to start with.
Oh, there you go.
And she was talking also about doing book clubs.
Oh, that's a great. I know exactly who that
What's
was.
the name of the book?
that's your wife.
White Fragility.
Steve,
That,
Sorry.
that's
Yeah.
you're married?
Yeah. You know, me and Jimmy and I went on a cruise years ago, and they thought he and I were married.
Just the two of you went? No
Well,
wonder
we
they
were
thought
doing
you
everything together.
We had our wives and they just sat and did their own thing and we went and
We're doing
we played
trivia,
basketball,
we're
we did-
playing the-
I think we did the newlywed.
Oh,
didn't
we're
we?
doing it all.
I
No
think that-
wonder.
I think that's what everybody was
And
kind
you
of.
probably answered all the questions right about each other.
Yeah.
Pretty much did. We did a music one. He
Yeah.
got mad at me because I didn't know anything on the music one.
Yeah.
Was that the Disney Princess Cruise or something?
No.
No, it was a carnival.
Oh,
It
Carnival.
was pretty fun. Alrighty. Well, are we signed off yet, Nick?
Yeah.
Okay.
Your wife asked that
Oh.
Father's Day's coming.
I'll send, as
is-
usual, Kim. I'll send you the link.
Father's Day is the
color
same
do you-
Sunday of
would you
every
want?
year.
What color would you want?
Those are different colors?
Yeah, there's
they
like
come in
8 different colors.
I like dark gray or black because they go with everything.
I really like those.
All right.
A darker.
I'll see what I can do.
Shh,
You can get these.
I like those.
I know for a fact these are on sale.
Still 85?
Something like that.
Where are those at? Famous Footwear?
No, Nike.com.
Kmart.
All
Or
right.
no, they don't even exist anymore, do they?
Are we done? We're not? We're not done? All right, Steve.
Oh, sorry.
Do the closing,
Hey,
Steve.
see you guys.
Is this where we drop
Thanks
the
for-
mic?
Yeah, just drop it on the couch.
No, I
Mic
do
drop.
that.
There we go. Adios. Goodbye.